Hi guys, it's Mary McIntyre. Welcome back to another video. Today I am having my very first attempt at making geode resin coasters. I've seen a number of different creators do these, Mixed Media Girl, Claire's Crafty Corner, and many others. So I've got my respirator on here and my apron and my gloves, so that's why I'm doing a voiceover because you can't really hear what I'm saying. So I've gone here for some different glitters and mica powders in a kind of orange and a sort of coppery coloured glitter, and also some kind of chunky gold glitter for the centre to kind of, obviously geodes are not actual glitter but they do sparkle, so I've gone for this kind of orange and brown colour palette. So I'm using Vista Turbo resin. I mixed up a whole bunch of it and then split it into different colours and added mica powder, glitter, and also some clear resin pigments into the orange. So the orange has like a clear pigment and some mica powder. I've gone for a kind of umber coloured clear with some mica powder, and yeah, so you didn't need to see me mixing all of that up in any great detail. So I started off by plonking down the chunky gold glitter at the center, and then the idea was to kind of go around in layers after that. I've never done these before, and at this point the resin is very, very fluid, and although Vista Turbo does cure quickly, I think I should have waited until it had been a little bit thicker before I tried to pour this, because they turned out absolutely nothing like I expected they would. And it wasn't even like the front, because this is the back that you can see here. Obviously when you cast something, the front of it is the bottom, but even from the back they didn't look like I expected they did at this point, but that changed and you'll see that happening quite soon. So the resin was just too fluid, everything was over mixing, there were kind of strange reactions going on with the mica powders. I wanted some clear bits in between, and everything I did just seemed to make the design worse. And in the end I had to stop putting stuff into these molds even though they were not full, because I could see that I was losing the layers. So I'm not quite sure how to do this next time other than to just let the resin cure a little bit first. What the result came out like is still beautiful. It's just absolutely nothing like I expected. I'm still quite new to resin, and I am learning that resin never ever does what you think it's going to do. I thought acrylic pouring was bad, but resin art, boy, it's a whole next level of like what is happening here. So they look sort of okay at this point, but you'll see here what I'm doing is using the leftover colours that I had and putting them into my pendant moulds. But you can see the coasters at the top, the brown is just working its way into the centre. It's just covering all of my layers. This is sped up, by the way, it's 4 times speed because I was doing this quite carefully. So the pendants, some of them came out really beautifully, but again, the way that, the I cast resin is I have the top of the pendant is the bottom of the mould. So a lot of what I'm futzing about with here is basically not seen in the final result, and what goes in first is usually the most visible. So a couple of these are not really my cup of tea. Some of them came out really nicely, but I can't stop looking at how that brown pigment is just taking over the entirety of that coaster. It's just mad. So yeah, I really don't know what to do about that other than have stuff just a bit thicker before I start trying to pour it. So I filled up as many of the pendant molds as I could with what resin I had. I didn't want to waste a single drop of this because I realised I couldn't really put it in the coasters. I probably could have done in hindsight, but I was worried that it was going to mess the design up even more than it already was messed up. So yeah, I was using Vista Turbo, so it was a pretty fast cure, which is great. So what you don't see on camera is that 12 hours later I went in with some clear resin just to top off those coasters and fill them right up to the top, because I was worried that they'd be too flimsy like that on their own. So yeah, I didn't waste anything here. I've used every last drop of resin that I could squeeze out of there. Now, these These are not very expensive molds, but I did use a flame to just go through and just pop any air bubbles that I could see. There were not that many, to be honest, but I did carefully do that on the pendant molds. I didn't really want to hit this with a heat gun because it would have messed up the design even more than they already were. So I just used very carefully used my lighter to just pop some bubbles. So very shortly, these are the backs of the pendants. They will look nothing like that on the other side. So in a minute you'll see me demolding the coasters. So here we are. I don't know where these molds came from. They were a gift, but I'm always extremely careful with my silicone molds. I treat them, with great care because I don't want to tear them. Silicone is not a particularly robust material, and I was worried about the coasters themselves actually being flimsy at this point. So I've just got into the habit of demolding that way. They're actually pretty chunky, and they were quite solid by this point. So yeah, the right side, absolutely nothing like I expected. The back, kind of pretty, could look like a flower, but honestly, the back sort of reminds me of a cat's bum. I'm sorry, but that's all I can see when I look at them. So the front is kind of interesting. I don't hate it, but it's so different from what I was actually going for. And yeah, I just don't really know what I can do other than just practice. And yeah, also very weirdly on the back, I put in the clear coat of resin, and although I didn't then touch it until demold, it has my fingerprints imprinted into the resin. So I'm really confused about how the heck that got there. And yeah, some of the white has kind of seeped around the edge at the back as well. But there's some interesting reactions that have happened that I'll show you up close in a minute here, where I've got like leopard spots. And again, I don't hate them. This could be agate with some kind of geological inclusions, I guess. I mean, it's rare that you have a geode that has perfectly circular layers that are all even. You quite often get chunks of stuff inside them. So I don't hate them. I kind of prefer a couple of the pendants, to be honest. So I'm demolding those now, and I'm leaving them wrong side down, and I'll turn them all over in a second and have a more of a reveal than I did with the coasters. So the first thing that kind of comes out here is that some of them are very dominated by that gold sequiny chunky glitter. That's not my bag at all. I'm not really into chunky gold glitter, but they are pretty and they do really catch the light beautifully. This round one though is gorgeous, and that shield shaped one at the end, both of those absolutely beautiful. Really, they just leap out at me straight away as a massive success for me. Although it's not really my colour scheme as such, I actually really like them. The round one kind of reminds me of a planet, but I see space and everything. So yeah, close-ups of the tops of these coasters. There's that really weird sort of semi-transparent layer that's insipid running through the glitter. I have no idea what's going on there. That black and I know there's no black in here at all, but the brown pigment and that white opaque resin, which is Vista white resin pigment, they've reacted in a really interesting way and given me that kind of strange layer of leopard spots. Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, I've put a little pinch bail into each of the pendants and put them on a cord, and that's those finished. I think they do look really nice. If you like glittery things, you'll love these. But yeah, so that's it. That's it for this video. A short one for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I have still so much to learn here, so next time I make a geode pour, hopefully it will look a little bit more like what I'm going for, because yeah, these are not it. These are just not it at all. But next time, I love learning new things, so this is all new to me. If any of you have done geode pours and can give me some tips on what to do to get crisper layers other than let the the Vista Turbo thicken up a bit first, please let me know in the comments below. As I said, I'm still very new to resin, so any tips gratefully appreciated. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.